All right, so we're diving deep today, and we're going to be looking at some interesting stuff from Black women about relationships and wealth. We've got these two YouTube videos, and they're from the channel Fly Nubian Queen, where Black women have a voice. And they're really interesting, I gotta say. The first video talks about this woman, Maya, and her experience with celibacy. She actually chose to be celibate for 7 years. Like, can you imagine? 7 whole years.
It's pretty incredible when you hear her talk about it. It wasn't about like denying herself something. It was more about her like really taking ownership of her life and her body and using that time to really figure herself out, like
Yeah.
what she really wanted in a partner.
Which is amazing, right? To have
Yeah.
that kind of clarity. Yeah, totally. It makes you think, like, are more women choosing this path now? Like, is it a trend or something? Like, throw out those old timelines for relationships and all that. And they even talked about this Bumble ad, this ad that encouraged Black women to be more sexually active. And it caused a lot of controversy, like a lot. They even played a clip from this social commentator, Cindy Noir. And she said something that really got me thinking. She was like, are these dating apps really about helping us find good relationships? Or are they just about making money off of our desire for intimacy? Like,
Yeah.
the more we're swiping and connecting, the more money they make, right?
It's a good point, right? Like, makes you wonder if these platforms are really looking out for our best interests or if they're pushing a certain narrative, a narrative that might not actually be good for us in the long run. You know what I mean?
Totally. And the hosts, Erica and Athena, they talked about their own experiences with dating apps too. And they weren't really convinced that those apps are the best way to find a real connection.
Yeah, it's like we're constantly being told how we should be dating and what we should be doing. But are those messages really coming from a place of wanting what's best for us? Or is it something else?
It's a good question. And then it gets even more interesting when they start talking about the whole like cuddling versus something more situation, you know? Like, haven't we all been there trying to figure that out?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They had some really different opinions on that, too. Like, they talked to this relationship coach, Dr. Joe, and he said he'd be totally open to dating a woman who was choosing celibacy. He was all about that emotional connection.
Interesting.
But then they had someone in the YouTube chat saying they wouldn't even cuddle with someone they weren't romantically involved with.
Wow. That's like the opposite end of the spectrum.
Right.
It shows you how different people can be
Totally.
and how important it is to be honest about what you want. Erica even said that it's best to be upfront about being celibate, like from the very beginning. So there's no misunderstandings. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, definitely. Communication is key,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Oh, and remember when Dr. Joe said that peace is the #1 thing for men, especially as they get older? That really stuck with me.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It's like he's saying that lasting relationships are built on something much deeper than just excitement.
Right. It's about finding someone who brings a sense of calm and stability to your life.
Yeah, and that goes back to what we were talking about before, about women prioritizing their own well-being and looking for partners who value things like emotional intelligence.
Totally. It seems like that desire for peace is a big part of what women are looking for in relationships these days.
For sure. Okay, so are you ready to move on to the second video, the one about finances?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so this one's about what they call the black debt problem. And this financial expert, Constance Carter, she drops some knowledge that's pretty mind-blowing. She says that black buying power in the U.S. is going to be over $1.7 trillion by 2025. But get this, the net worth of black Americans is actually projected to go down. So how does that even make sense? Like, if we have so much spending power, why are we facing a debt crisis?
Right. It's like a paradox. But Constance explains that it all comes down to the difference between spending power and net worth. Spending power is just how much money a group spends, but net worth takes into account what you own and what you owe. So it's not just about how much you earn, it's about what you do with it.
Oh, okay. So even if you have a good income, if you're always spending more than you save and racking up debt, your net worth will suffer.
Exactly. And she says that one of the biggest reasons for this debt crisis is what she calls the microwave mentality.
The microwave mentality, what's that?
It's basically this desire for instant gratification, like wanting everything right now, even if it means going into debt. She uses the example of people buying luxury cars or taking fancy vacations on credit.
Oh, I see. Like we're so used to getting what we want right away that we don't think about the consequences down the road.
Exactly. And she says that this mindset is often connected to a lack of financial literacy.
Financial literacy.
Yeah, like understanding how money works, how to budget, save, invest, all that stuff.
Right.
If we don't understand those basic concepts, we're more likely to make bad financial decisions.
Makes sense.
But don't worry, she doesn't just leave us hanging with the problem. She offers some real solutions, too. Like, did you hear what she said about government contracts?
Oh yeah, what about them?
She said there's a ton of money set aside for minority-owned businesses. But a lot of black entrepreneurs aren't even bidding on these contracts.
Really?
Yeah, it's like there's this huge opportunity just sitting there, but people don't know about it, or they don't know how to take advantage of it.
So what can we do about it?
Well, she encourages us to be more proactive, to do our research and seek out those opportunities. And it's not just about government contracts. She also talks about the importance of supporting each other's businesses. What she calls collective economics.
Collective economics.
Yeah, it's like the idea of keeping our money circulating within our own community. She even brings up Black Wall Street and how its decline was linked to integration. It made me think about the power of supporting our own people.
It's a powerful message.
It is.
Okay, but can we switch gears for a second and go back to that Bumble ad? I'm still kind of blown away that a dating app would try to tell women how to be sexual. It felt so wrong, you know?
I know, right? It was like they were overstepping their boundaries. And remember what Cindy Noir said about how these apps profit from intimacy?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about their motives. Like, are they really interested in helping us find love? Or are they just trying to make money off of our hookups?
It's a tough question.
It is.
But I think it's important to be aware of how these platforms might be influencing us and to make choices that are right for us, not for them.
Absolutely.
But you know what I keep coming back to? Dr. Joe's point about peace being the most important thing for men in relationships.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
It was so simple, but so profound.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it?
It does.
Like maybe we're so focused on finding excitement and passion that we're forgetting about the importance of peace. The kind of peace that comes from being with someone who truly gets you and who makes you feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should be looking for, more than anything else.
You know, think about both of these videos. It seems like they're both telling us to slow down and really think about what's important to us, whether it's choosing celibacy to focus on personal growth or building financial stability to create a secure future. It's all about making conscious choices, choices that align with our values.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's about taking control of our lives and not letting ourselves be swept away by the currents of society's expectations.
Exactly. And a big part of that is self-awareness, like really understanding our needs and motivations.
Totally. Self-awareness is key. It's the foundation for making authentic choices.
Couldn't agree more. You know, one thing that stood out to me was Constance's advice about using technology to build wealth. Like she talked about how easy it is to start an online business these days through platforms like Shopify, creating courses, self-publishing books. It sounds so accessible.
It does, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
she's a great example of someone who's actually doing it. She's not just talking the talk, she's walking the walk.
Exactly. And her message about collective economics was really powerful too. Like we need to shift our mindset and start supporting each other more.
Yeah, it's about building a stronger community, a community where we all have the opportunity to thrive.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful vision, isn't it?
It is. Okay, so I think that's a good place to stop for now. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to unpack. So be sure to join us for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll delve even deeper into the solutions these women offer for creating a more fulfilling and financially secure future.
We'll see you then.
Bye for now. You know, I'm still thinking about that microwave mentality thing. It's like we're programmed to want everything right now and worry about the bill later.
It's so true. We're surrounded by this message everywhere we look. Buy now, pay later, instant gratification.
Right. No wonder so many people struggle with debt.
And Constance was saying that this whole mindset leads to a lot of impulse spending and relying on credit even for things we don't really need or even afford, really.
Oh, yeah, she really emphasized that, didn't she?
She did. But you know what I found super interesting? She connected this microwave mentality to a lack of financial literacy.
Oh, yeah.
Like not understanding how money really works.
Right. She said it was all about education, like knowing how to budget and save and all that.
Exactly. She didn't just point out the problem. She gave us solutions too. Remember what she said about government contracts?
Yeah, what about them?
Well, she said there's all this money set aside for minority-owned businesses, but a lot of black entrepreneurs don't even bid on those contracts.
Really? Why not?
It seems like a lot of people aren't even aware of the opportunity, or they don't know how to go about getting those contracts.
That's crazy. There's so much money just sitting there.
I know. It's like this untapped gold mine.
So what did Constance say we should do?
She basically challenged us to be more proactive, do our research, find those opportunities, and go for it.
It makes sense. We can't just sit around and wait for things to come to us.
Exactly. And it's not just about government contracts either. She also talked about the importance of supporting each other's businesses.
Right. Collective economics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She was so passionate about that. She even used Black Wall Street as an example, how its decline was linked to integration.
I remember that. It really makes you think about the power of keeping our money within our own community.
It does. It's like building a stronger foundation for everyone.
Absolutely. Okay, so can we switch gears for a minute and go back to that Bumble ad?
Sure.
That whole thing still bugs me, you know? Like a dating app telling women how they should be sexual.
I know, right? It was so inappropriate.
It felt like they were trying to control us. And remember what Cindy Noir said?
Oh, yeah. About how these apps make money off of intimacy.
Right. It makes you wonder about their true intentions. Like, are they really trying to help us find love?
Or are they just trying to keep us hooked on their platform?
So we'll keep swiping and spending money.
That's a good question, and one we should all be asking ourselves.
It's like we need to be more aware of how these apps are designed
Yeah.
and make sure we're using them in a way that aligns with our values.
Exactly.
Okay, but can we circle back to Dr. Joe for a minute?
Sure.
What he said about peace being the most important thing for men in relationships.
That was a good one.
It really resonated with me. It's like he was saying that real connection goes beyond all the superficial stuff.
Right. It's about finding someone who brings a sense of calm to your life.
Someone who makes you feel safe and secure.
Exactly. Like you can truly relax and be yourself around them.
I think a lot of people are missing that these days.
It's true. We get so caught up in the excitement and the drama that we forget about the importance of peace.
Yeah, maybe we need to reevaluate our priorities a little bit.
It's worth thinking about, that's for sure.
You know, looking back at both of these videos, it seems like they're both encouraging us to be more intentional, whether it's choosing celibacy to focus on ourselves or building financial stability to create a better future. It's about making choices that align with our values.
I think you're right. It's about taking ownership of our lives and not letting ourselves be dictated by what society tells us we should do.
Exactly.
And a big part of that is self-awareness, right? Really understanding what we want and what's important to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have to be honest with ourselves and not be afraid to go against the grain.
I love that. And you know what else I really appreciated? How both videos emphasize the importance of community.
Oh, yeah,
From Constance's call for collective economics to the overall sense of sisterhood that came through in both videos. It's clear that we're stronger when we support each other.
It's so true. We need to lift each other up and celebrate each other's successes.
Create a network of support and encouragement.
Exactly. It's about building a community where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
And you know what else was really inspiring? Constance's story about her own journey to financial freedom, starting from humble beginnings as a security guard and working her way up to become a successful entrepreneur.
Yeah, that was incredible. It shows that anything is possible if you're willing to put in the work.
And if you have the right mindset.
And the right support system.
Absolutely.
You know, it's really amazing to see how these women are using their platforms
Mm.
to empower others and share their wisdom.
It's so inspiring. It gives me hope for the future. So we've talked about a lot in this deep dive, you know, about what Black women are saying about relationships and money. It's been really eye-opening hearing from Maya and Constance. They've really given us a lot to think about.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're challenging us to rethink some of our assumptions about, well, everything, really.
For sure. So as we wrap up, what are some key things our listeners can take away from all this? Like, what can they actually apply to their own lives?
Well, I think one of the biggest takeaways is that there's no one right way to do life.
Yeah.
You know, like whether it's celibacy, entrepreneurship, or anything else we've talked about, it's about figuring out what works for you.
Yeah, and that means tuning out all the noise and really listening to yourself. Like, what do you actually want? What are your values? What are your goals?
Exactly. And that takes self-awareness, right?
Totally.
Like really understanding yourself, your needs, your motivations, even your boundaries.
It's so important.
It is. And it's something you can work on, you know,
Mhm.
like through journaling, therapy, even just taking some time for quiet reflection.
Those are all great ideas.
And another thing I think is really important is to question everything,
Yeah.
you know, like all those messages we get about how we should be dating or what success looks like, don't just accept them blindly.
Yeah, challenge those assumptions. Figure out what resonates with you and what doesn't.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to forge your own path.
Love that. And speaking of paths, one thing that really stood out to me was how much these women emphasized community.
Oh, absolutely. Like Constance's message about collective economics.
Yes. And just that general sense of sisterhood and support that we saw in both
It's
videos.
like they're reminding us that we're stronger together.
We are, and that we need to lift each other up and celebrate each other's wins.
So true. And, thinking about Constance's story, starting as a security guard and becoming a successful entrepreneur, it's just so inspiring.
It is. It shows that anything is possible, right?
As long as you're willing to work hard and believe in
You
yourself.
gotta have the right people in your corner.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with a sense of hope. Yeah, there are challenges out there, but there are also solutions. And by tapping into our inner strength, supporting each other, and never giving up, we can create a future where we all thrive.
I love that. And don't forget to check out the resources we mentioned, like Constance Carter's work and the Fly Nubian Queen YouTube channel. We'll have links to those in the show notes.
So yeah, thank you for joining us on this journey.
We hope this deep dive has sparked some new ideas and inspired you to keep learning and growing.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep creating the life you want.